Good morning, everyone. We're here together with Mr. Jeff Barringer, and he is the founder of 3DX International, the one that runs the 3DX Masters, 3D Masters, as well as the 3DX competitions.
Mabuhay, Pilipinas.
Very well said. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. This is a very interesting start to a new day. I wanted to introduce the audience. I wanted to let you know that I'm just currently in China right now, with having a conversation with Jeff Barringer, and we have just witnessed the first 3DX competition in China, and we have had such a tremendous excitement while we're here. And if you've seen the video prior, you'll see that there's about over 3,000 people that were here that attended this whole
Fantastic.
And we would like to just begin by getting to know Jeff a little bit, and then giving us a bit of a rundown of what 3DX and 3D Masters is all about.
Sure, yeah.
So, getting started anyways, how did you get started with 3D Masters and 3DX?
Well, 3D Masters started 10 years ago. The planning was about 11 years ago. And the idea was to create a 3D competition, because I began to notice that there were a lot of guys flying 3D in the UK, and no one really, there was no real measure for them. So I got together with a few of the 3D gurus in the UK, and I said, look, if we made a competition, how would we judge them? How would we say this guy's better than this guy? And so we set up some ground rules that we wanted to test the guys, and that was really where the 3D Masters format began. The event took place in the UK, the first one in 2001, and it received very, very good reviews. A lot of people were enthusiastic about it, and lo and behold, in November 2001, I had an email from Curtis Youngblood, who said, hey, if you want to run your competition again next year, I'd like to be in it. And I thought, wow, we've hit the big time. And I can't I can't overstate Curtis's contribution in that sense, and he has supported 3D Masters ever since, in one way or another. He's won it twice, he has judged twice, he's a very good ambassador for 3D anyway, but the support that he gives is just fantastic. So we had a competition, we had world recognition, and suddenly the world wanted to be part of it. And so it's always been the case that our event has been oversubscribed within a very, very short time. We publish the entry forms on the internet. Within 2 weeks we have to close entry, because I just don't like saying no to people. And if I've got too many entries, I have to say no, which is an awful thing. You know, some guy's been rejected. So that's probably the worst time of my year. So I decided that really what I needed was a way to assess the pilots that were applying to me. And every pilot will tell you they're phenomenal. They're the world champion. They need to believe that. Why would they compete otherwise? And I'm sure they're sincere. But I had to find a way to do it. And so basically we simply distilled 3D Masters format into a more readily repeatable format, and we called it 3DX. And 3DX is a template. It's a series of documents and a series of very helpful pieces of information that an organizer can register for, and once we've accepted them into the system, they can then build an event. And every event is unique, and so the organizer can tailor his event to suit his local.
In terms of the overall things that have happened in China, what would be your general summary to what's happening and what has happened for this particular event in China?
3DX China has definitely the most ambitious 3D event that certainly I've seen, and I've been to a lot all over the world. And Andy managed to meet those ambitions, but it's very, very hard.
We've covered most of the things that we needed to cover. Okay, and I'm really, really glad that I had this opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm pleased too.
Yeah, because what we were actually seeing, and I was actually having a chat with Andy earlier, was that the Philippines is not a country where it's easily able to bring in so-called top judges to that country. But Andy has provided us with a very, very good platform, in the sense that it's close enough that we can actually, in a way, piggyback, provided that the pilots are at the caliber of what we need to be. Okay, and because he was willing to say that he's willing to potentially accept, based on the judge's decision, okay, certain people who has reached certain criteria, okay, based on their application. And that way we don't have to run all the way to North America or Europe to actually do this kind of competition, but be here and then be judged internationally at an international caliber.
Yeah, that's Andy's role. He can do that. He has experience. He knows how he can fit that within his format.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this, and then at least the neighboring countries who are there who don't have the capacity or might not have as easily the capacity to put it together would now have access to something really, really good. Okay.
As a very simple example, if I might just give you one, maybe three years ago, I was invited to go to 3DX Singapore, and I went along, and the event was totally dominated by a bunch of guys from Thailand who had come down. It was really quite a surprise, and I watched the event, and they, with respect to the Malays and the Chinese of Singapore, the Thais dominated, totally dominated. They had a style, they knew what they were doing, and at that time there was no 3DX in Thailand, and so I looked at that and I thought, wow, those guys have got something. And so I said to the top 2 Thai guys in Singapore, please apply to 3D Masters, because next year you will get a place guaranteed. And it was right. You know, by going to someone else's event, by going from Thailand to Singapore, we saw in Europe for the first time Thai pilots flying, and they were a real discovery. And we've seen a Thai pilot win here today.
Exactly.
This weekend. So 3DX helps us find pilots, and that's what we're looking for.
So true. So true.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Good.